Misfits 21 titled Unfinished Business. KSI, he takes on Dillon Danis.
I feel like that fight made sense years ago. Now I feel like it doesn't really make that much sense.
He's just an internet fighter who doesn't even compete.
Dillon Danis fell off the face of relevancy after his fiasco with Logan Paul. Why the hell did we get Dillon Danis as an opponent?
Mams Taylor and Team KSI are kind of scrambling to find a last minute opponent, and Dillon Danis was the convenient person right there looking for an opportunity, and he got it.
Go to an amateur boxing show and you'll see better skills than what you saw in Dillon Danis.
Well, how can KSI back in 2018, when he was still like a fresh amateur, not progress now that he's in 2025?
I guess his ego is still at an all-time high. I'm surprised because a lot of his fans have been switching up on him recently.
The big fight I'm looking forward to besides the main event, the Walid Sharks returns to take on FoxTheG.
There's some doubt on his name. A quick way to get it back is, beat the top guy. Right now, FoxTheG has all the hype.
I still see a lot of flaws in FoxTheG. He's already gotten to the point where he's in love with his power. Welcome back to the Last Round podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. In today's episode, we'll be going over Unfinished Business featuring KSI as he takes on Dillon Danis on Misfits 21, as well as going over the New York State's commissions about the Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis controversy, and lastly, going over the Dana White and Turkey agreement for a new boxing league. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, don't forget to join our Discord. We're trying to build up a community, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. And now, diving into the episode. First thing first, influencer boxing. I feel like we haven't really talked much about influencer boxing. A lot of people often say influencer boxing is kind of dying. It's not as relevant as it once was. And to a certain degree, I feel like that's true. But we have the return of, quote unquote, the king of crossover boxing. KSI, the Nightmare, or Latunji, returns as he takes on Dillon Danis on Misfits 21 in the event dubbed Unfinished Business. Now, this main event is set to take place in Manchester at the end of March, and it looks to finally settle the beef between KSI and Dillon Danis.
Yeah, influencer boxing just needed one of their superstars to fight, basically. Yeah. And KSI obviously is one of the pioneers of this, so him fighting, it's a big deal. Also, there was a lot of talks about a possible opponent, who he was going to fight. He kept on hyping it up, saying it was going to be a very big name. But we got Dillon Danis, which, I think all the fans were kind of wondering why the hell did we get Dillon Danis as an opponent. They had originally been scheduled to fight earlier, but the fight fell through for some reason.
Yeah, it was when I think Misfits 3 or 4, early on back in 2022 or 3. I think it was 23. They were scheduled to fight, but then like a week during fight week, Dillon Danis pulled out saying he didn't have the proper training. He didn't have a trainer with him, so he wasn't going to make the fight. And that's when FaZe Temper stepped in, because he was already scheduled to fight, so they just bumped him up, and then he got sparked out.
Yeah, what's funny is that Dillon Danis got onto the Ariel Helwani show, and he was like, yeah, Helwani, I'm not training. Actually, I'm not even going to a boxing gym. Yeah. And then he just pulls out like fight week.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like that fight made sense years ago, when it first got announced and first scheduled. Now I feel like it doesn't really make that much sense. Dillon Danis kind of fell off the face of relevancy after his fiasco with Logan Paul. And he also got exposed very badly as well. It was go to an amateur boxing show and you'll see better skills than what you saw in Dillon Danis.
Well, I feel Dillon Danis, for the Logan Paul fight, shot himself in the foot, because how do you build up the fight by talking so much shit about your opponent and about his during the time fiance, only to deliver the performance that he went on to give to the fans that fight night on Prime, on the Prime card. So yeah, if anything, Dillon Danis the only loser that fight was completely Dillon Danis. He lost everyone that night, and he's been seeking some relevancy. I mean, he still hasn't fought since then. He hasn't had like any big. I mean, he's a big grappler, jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but he doesn't even compete either. Yeah. He's not even an MMA. Like, he's not even in the UFC. Like, this guy does nothing at all.
No, and so he was kind of itching to get back into the limelight. Like you said, KSI was scheduled to fight. I mean, they mentioned some of the opponents that they had in plans for KSI for his upcoming fight, and there's a lot of UFC fighters, which we'll get into later. Mm-hmm. But they all pulled out, or they couldn't agree to terms with them, and that's when Wayne Bridge pulled up out of nowhere. That fight was announced, and then a couple of days later, Wayne Bridge
Monday happened.
Wayne Bridge pulls out of the fight, and so then Mams Taylor and Team KSI are kind of scrambling to find a last-minute opponent because March is coming up. We need an opponent for KSI, and Dillon Danis was the convenient person right there, looking for an opportunity, and he got it.
Yeah, what's funny is that I'm one of those people that I don't like this card at all. Well, maybe not the card, but I don't like the main event. Like I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. Dillon Danis does not deserve this opportunity. I mean, I said it before. He's just an internet fighter. He's a grappler who doesn't even grapple. Who doesn't even compete. He's just a keyboard warrior that kind of knows how to fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how he also always tries to shits on Logan Paul and also KSI. He's like, you guys are internet boxers, or like you guys aren't real fighters. It's like, you're not a real fighter. I mean, either. You just grapple. You don't even box. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Dillon Danis, like I said, he's not doing himself any favors by the way he acts online, and he can't even back it up. And I remember when during the Prime card, the whole build-up, I mean, we were just super invested in it, and we were talking about it because Dillon Danis during the time was giving us an all-time promotional greatness run. I mean, that run from I think it was like August or July all the way till October was a generational run from Dillon Danis in the aspect of promoting a fight. It was disrespectful, it was funny, and it had us engaged. And we were saying that, if Dillon Danis beats Logan Paul, he's gonna become top two, top three biggest influencer fighters on the planet.
And he might have even gotten signed by Dana White and gone into the UFC.
A lot of big opportunities would have opened up for him if he would have won, but then he gives us what he gave us on Fight Night against Logan Paul. He threw like 3 punches, and those 3 punches came after he tried taking down Logan Paul in the last round. But Dillon Danis does himself no favor, and he somehow got himself this opportunity to take on KSI. In the aspect of this main event, though, a lot of people are criticizing it, not just because it's Dillon Danis, but because of the of how many rounds the fight will be. It was announced that it's going to be a 6-rounder, and people were giving KSI a lot of shit about it, saying, "Yo, like, how are you still fighting 6-rounders?" And people are speculating because there was also after the first Logan Paul fight that KSI had back in 2018. Following the scorecard and the aftermath, KSI called out Logan Paul saying for a rematch, and he was pushing for 8 rounds. And this was 2018. So people pulled that out and said, yo, what happened to this kind of mentality? Like, how can KSI back in 2018, when he was still like a fresh amateur, not progress now that he's in 2025, training underneath a more professional type of setting with his team? So they're speculating that KSI has regressed.
Yeah, well, I think he addressed it. I think in the press conference, he said that more rounds are boring or something like that. Kind of like a cop-out answer. Like, and I think that's kind of his style, though. He's a guy that he peaks. He it's like a lot, very, very active. But then I'm pretty sure he gets tired. Because he's winging shots, like with the full body behind them, and when he misses, which he usually always misses, it takes a lot of energy out of you.
Yeah, and I'm also guessing that, we're talking about Dillon Danis as well, a guy who doesn't really train, so we have to assume that he's also not training. So he's probably also pushed for a 6-rounder fight as well.
Yeah, and people were giving KSI a lot of shit for the 6-rounders, and also another big thing they were giving them shit, of course, the opponent selection. But the big thing was about the possible opponents before Dillon Danis, and like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people, or a lot of the names that were mentioned that they were in talks for a potential KSI fight for this March card was a lot of UFC or former UFC fighters. A big one was Tony Ferguson. And people were bashing KSI online because we all know that KSI and Jake Paul don't like each other. And every time that Jake Paul has fought a former UFC fighter in the aspect of Woodley or Nate Diaz or even Mike Perry, KSI has been very vocal about his opinion about it, saying, brother, you're only fighting these old retired UFC fighters. And then we find out that KSI and his team were in talks with fighting a maybe not retired fighter, but a very old and clearly not in his prime fighter in Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, that's crazy because, I mean, Tony Ferguson, he's basically retired. I mean, he's on like a 9-fight losing streak. You know, I don't even know if maybe he's still with the UFC. I'm actually not even sure. But, I mean, he's way out of his prime. I mean, he's been knocked out badly, a couple of times already, made the highlight reel. So, like, what are we doing here? You know, that is not a good opponent selection at all for KSI, considering, how much he loves bashing Jake over fighting UFC fighters. So, I don't know. I mean, even the other opponents, Tony Ferguson was one of them. He was also talking about... who else? He like
was
three
Darren
other.
Till like a name?
Masvidal. There was Masvidal.
Masvidal was one other one. Darren Till, they said that no with him they know that he's not ready for Darren Till.
Oh yeah, he's not ready.
He's not ready for Darren Till right now. So he wasn't a name mentioned. But yeah, Masvidal was one. I think they're teased. I think Diaz.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, and supposedly KSI said they all didn't want to fight me. They were all scared. I was like, all right, bro. I don't think anyone's really scared of you, dude. Like, come on, like, I don't know what KSI. I guess his ego is still at an all-time high, And I'm surprised because a lot of his fans have been switching up on him recently, but I guess that doesn't dissuade him. I mean, he's still on that all ego trip.
And another big thing though is KSI recently met with Turkey, and people are they're always asking question, what is Turkey gonna cook up? And for him to meet up with KSI, and they had the whole little clip of them kind of talking about plans, and I think they're gonna announce something either in April or May. People are, I guess they're being a little too hopeful in the aspect of saying, oh, they're gonna finally make KSI against Jake Paul, which I don't believe it's gonna happen. But it was very interesting to see KSI randomly meet up with Turkey. Considering the fact that Turkey has been pretty vocal about his thoughts and opinions about influencer boxing, claiming it's not real boxing. Seeing him link up with KSI and talk about some plans for the future that they will be releasing later in the spring is very interesting to see. And if it involves a KSI fight, then I'm eager to see what exactly the steps they are trying to take in order to kind of regain the momentum in KSI's career.
Yeah, because Turkey, I don't believe Turkey is going to make some little small gimmick fight. Like, I don't think he would make a fight like KSI and Dillon Danis, If Turkey's involved, you know how he is. He wants to make the biggest, best fight. So I think first he would try to push for a Jake Paul fight. If that doesn't come to happen, it'd be another big UFC fighter probably, because KSI, it looks like he's obviously taking this Dillon Danis fight as a stepping stone. He wants to get the KO, which I think he will. KO Dillon Danis, get some relevancy back to his name, get some hype, and then maybe try to work with Turkey to get a really mega fight.
Yeah, to be honest, look, I'm just going to speculate, and I'm going to speculate that KSI is kind of like, he kind of has 1 foot in and 1 foot out the door. I think he really kind of wants to stop boxing. I think maybe he wants to do more of the promotional side and stuff. And I think he's saving himself and maybe just his body through the wear and tear to fight Jake Paul. Because Turkey, like you said it before, and I'm of the same thinking, Turkey is only there to make big fights happen. So if he is down to have a meeting with KSI, it's only because of that reason alone.
Yeah, KSI is 31? I think so. He's in his 30s already, and I mean, he's a relevant name besides boxing and in the YouTube scene and even in his business endeavors with Prime and stuff. So he doesn't need boxing at all. He's kind of, his back is against the wall because of promises he made earlier in his boxing career about fighting Jake Paul. So they're gonna keep pushing Jake Paul at him, and they won't let him live it down unless he fights Jake Paul. So yeah, KSI, I agree. I don't think he's fully invested in boxing as much anymore, and would rather pursue other business. But he does have a promise to fulfill to his fans, and I mean, if he's trying to get that Jake Paul fight, I feel like he should probably start cooking that up if he wants to get out of boxing soon. But yeah, so KSI taking on Dillon Danis, March 29th in Manchester. Should be I assume it's gonna be a sold out event. KSI fights are always huge over in the UK. He's still the biggest influencer out of England, so yes, for sure he's gonna be bringing in a huge crowd. But yeah, this card also was criticized because people thought that the card was a bit weak for being the KSI headliner. And we had our co-main event, which features Darren Till as he takes on former UFC star or UFC fighter Darren Stewart. I'm not too knowledgeable on Darren Stewart. I was looking at his record right now. His overall record, 16 wins, 10 losses. Not the very best record. He's fought a couple times in the UFC, so he has that to his name. But yeah, Darren Till for sure at the moment is considered one of the biggest threats in influencer boxing, especially after destroying Anthony Taylor in the fashion that he did. So we have the return of Darren Till. Thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, Darren Till is having a great time right now. He's fighting these low-level guys, which I guess, now he's going to fight a ex-UFC fighter, but he's getting paid handsomely. Yeah. He's enjoying his life. He's fitting in nicely with Misfits and Mams Taylor and all of them guys. So interested to see him. Hopefully they have big plans for him, because it looks like he only fought Anthony Taylor a couple months back, right?
Back in January, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so pretty active. Pretty active. It looks like he wants to get back in the ring very, very quickly. So hopefully they come up with something bigger, because I'm also not too knowledgeable about this other guy. All I know is it's the battle of the Darrens,
Yeah, for me, I'm expecting Darren Till win, and then I'm expecting bigger things for him. I'm not sure what Misfits is cooking for him, but I'm curious to see what it is, because he just fought back in January. Now he's fighting back in March, and then I'm pretty sure he's gonna fight back in next time in late spring. So yeah, I'm interested to see how his career pans out or whatever with Misfits. But yeah.
Darren Till is he's huge. He completely bullied Anthony Taylor. Anthony Taylor first off had no business belonging at the 190 at the cruiserweight level. He's 5'6". How you fighting a 6'3" fighter in Darren Till, who's a natural 200 pounder at most? You're trying to take him on. Come on, Anthony Taylor. But yeah, Darren Till for sure. He's definitely a promising fighter for Misfits, and I know they were very happy that he won, and in the way that he won too. He looked very dominant in there. And if KSI, let's say he beats Dillon Danis, maybe they can get Darren Till in there with KSI.
The KSI's too scared. He's always complaining about the weight. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're way too much. They weigh too much. It's bro, you're a big guy. Stop acting like you're so small. He acts like he's a natural 180 pounder, a 180 pound fighter. It's you don't weigh 180 naturally. You weigh over 200 pounds as well, just like Darren Till, just like Jake Paul. You weigh as much as these guys. You just cut down further. Mm-hmm. So with Darren Till, yeah, he said it himself that Darren Till's too big for him. I was okay, bro, then just stop talking. Stop trying to ask for relevant names or anything, because I don't think that fight would happen. Because I know for sure if they were to send a contract to Darren Till, he'd sign that shit in 10 seconds.
Yeah. I feel that, let's say KSI fights Darren Till, I think that's easily his best name in his resume. Mm-hmm. Especially if he beats him. A lot of people would give him a lot more credit for beating Darren Till than Jake Paul beating Woodley, or even Jake Paul beating all these other former UFC fighters on his resume.
Sylvia.
I forgot Silva. But yeah, Darren Till for sure is a very relevant name, and fighting him and beating him is it's a huge risk, but the rewards are huge too. But yeah, it's all about KSI and his team. I feel like his team also kind of hold him back a little bit, and also KSI. Like, it goes back to the whole thing. He's not really fully invested in boxing, therefore he probably doesn't want to take the biggest risk. If he's gonna lose, he wants to go instantly for a big fight like Jake Paul, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But another somewhat big fight in the KSI Dillon Danis card is the return of the GOAT, man, or the self-proclaimed GOAT, and Chase Demoor against. He finally got a Fury.
Yeah.
Roman Fury and Chase Demoor are finally settling their beef in the ring. Chase Demoor has been calling Roman Fury out for quite some time now, and I'm surprised that they were finally able to get another Fury into Misfits boxing. So Chase Demoor seems to be trying to retain his Misfits heavyweight title against Roman Fury.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this fight. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, Chase Demoor is like the worst part of influencer boxing. When you tune into to influencer boxing, maybe you're like a regular boxing fan. You're like, let me give it a shot, right? Maybe I'm just brushing it aside. You tune in and you watch a Chase Demoor fight. You turn that shit off. You're like, I'm never watching that again. Like, it is not a good representation of influencer boxing. So, and he's a champion as well, which is like, it kind of shows you the level that the heavyweight influencer boxing is at. I don't even know what to say. I mean, this Roman Fury guy, is he the half brother of Tyson or something, or Tommy?
Related.
He's related, yeah. I think he's like a half brother or something. But he's not a boxer. So I mean, I don't even know if he has any credibility besides his name. But then again, Chase Demoor, his level is just so low that anything can happen. Honestly, this is like an amateur fight. Like any of these guys could win. You know.
Look, I'm gonna give you some pushback. You said that he doesn't represent Misfits boxing or influencer boxing, Chase Demoor. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of pushback. The first time we watched Chase Demoor into the ring, atrocious. God awful. Like, worse than what you see in, like, amateur boxing shows. Low-level boxing shows, amateur boxing shows. And then now he's a champion. You know? It may not mean much to a lot of people, but it means a lot to the influencer boxers. You know what I'm saying? So, you know... Chase Demoor has been calling out not just one Fury. He's been calling out every Fury. Now they send him the little pawn. And Chase Demoor is going to use his skills to just send him to the Shadow Realm.
Yo, we gotta Chase Demoor glazer over here, bro.
We gotta support it here.
I am.
I agree. Chase Demoor is... I mean, he still gets memed about the whole Josh Bruckner.
Well, good. Never let him live that down. I mean, that was bad.
Like that infamous segment of the fight where he's like,
I know exactly which clip you're talking about too. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even just influencer boxing pages that be memeing them. It's even some professional boxing pages who do more traditionally. They're like, yo, what's going on? And then the comment section is filled with, I mean, they're not aware of that he's Chase Demoor from Misfits influencer boxing. They're like, there's no way this guy's professional. That's what they always be saying. But yeah, Chase Demoor, I mean, I guess he's finally getting that Fury fight. He's been calling out for Roman Fury more specifically, and I guess they're finally going to find out who is the best heavyweight fighter on the planet for influencer boxing.
Well, that's the debut for Roman Fury, right?
Yeah, on Misfits.
Yeah
on Misfits. But we go down to, I think, in my opinion, the best fight of the card, which would be Walid Sharks as he returns to take on FoxTheG. Now, Walid Sharks, last time we saw him on Misfits was on the Prime card when he took on Dean the Great for the rematch in what was considered in the first fight one of, if not the best influencer Misfits fight of all time. And Walid got fucking destroyed in the rematch. He got demolished. It wasn't even close. And now he's looking to, remain credible, remain relevant within the scene, and try to build his way back to the top of the lightweight division. But he's up against FoxTheG, who is their Misfits' most promising young star, coming off beating Evil Hero in the 2v1. or I guess 1v1 because most wanted like 2 minutes before the walkout again peed his pants and said I can't do it, guys. But I mean, FoxTheG 2023. I mean, he had the knockout of the year for Misfits where he brutally knocked out Small Spartan J in one round. So FoxTheG has a lot of hype to his name, and he's up against easily the biggest opponent or the toughest challenge of his career.
Yeah, I mean, a very esteemed fighter is Walid. I mean, Golden Gloves champion. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. The accolades speak for themselves.
Exactly. So, I mean, the skill is just off the charts, of course. But I think it's a good fight. I mean, Walid, yeah, there's some doubt on his name, and if a quick way to get it back is, beat the top guy right now. And right now, FoxTheG has all the hype. He has all the hype. He's looked good. We just saw him in a 1v1, but then they did the clown show with the 2v whatever. But I mean, he has good skills. He looks like a promising young fighter. Looks like he's training and stuff. But I definitely think, I mean, the skill wise and obviously experience is going to be on Walid's side. So as long as Walid doesn't, go out trying to like act crazy or turn into a firefight where he might get clipped by FoxTheG, I think he should be able to be the favorite and come out on top.
Yeah, for me, this is like the second fight out of the whole card that I'm super curious about. One, FoxTheG, he has all of the momentum riding with him. He has Misfits riding with him, all the fans with him. So if he were to lose this fight, he would still be signed with Misfits. But I feel like for Walid Sharks, this is a make or break fight because if he loses, I think Misfits may want to let him go. Maybe just throw him out. Maybe not even consider him. Maybe doing like a trilogy fight with Dean the Great, because if he already lost, then what's the point for if I'm just looking at it through like a business perspective. So for me, Walid Sharks, he has his back against the wall. He really needs this win, whether it's a decision or a KO victory. He really needs to win.
I don't agree with Misfits throwing him out if he loses, but I do agree that it's if he loses this fight against FoxTheG, it's gonna break him. Yeah. Like absolutely break him. I mean, he took that loss against Dean the first time pretty bad, and then he got beat the second time, and he hasn't returned back to Misfits. He's had a fight in between there, just at a local pro show, and I saw some of the clips, and I'm not gonna lie, he didn't look impressive at all. I mean, he won by stoppage, but he lacks some. I mean, he's not. I don't deem him that good of a fighter,
bro. But he's the Golden Gloves champion.
Dude, we've talked so many times about that damn narrative, bro. He is Golden Gloves champion, okay? Let's
of Michigan.
I think it is Michigan, but I think, dude, he's for the novice, bro. The novice division.
And it was also state, too.
It was for the state, too.
It wasn't the national.
No, it wasn't. For the state novice, he fought 2 times. So, yes, I guess he is the Golden Gloves champion. Therefore, that would make me a Golden Gloves champion, too, if that's the logic we're using. But it's for the novice, so it's not anything crazy. But they always push that narrative, especially for Dean. They say, oh, he beat a Golden Glove champion. Dude, okay, yes, but come on, let's break it down and let's see that. Honestly, I would say like if you're gonna call yourself a Golden Glove champion, it's got to be like in a big city or win the actual nationals.
Yeah. If you win the nationals, you are a Golden Gloves champion.
Or even like if you win in Chicago or if you win in like Houston, New York,
in New England states, in California,
those massive states,
Texas.
I would say that's fine. You can consider yourself that state Golden Glove champion. But if you win the nationals, for sure, that's the top peak for any amateur fighter. So when people claim that Dean or that Walid is a Golden Glove champion, I just kind of laugh about it, and I just continue with my day because I don't want to entertain that dumb narrative that a lot of these fans be putting on Walid. And I mean, Walid, he's good at the level he's at, but there was a lot of hype for him, especially after I saw him beat what's his name, Adam Saleh, when he was only like 17 years old. So that fight really boosted Walid up to great heights, and it's allowed him to get these opportunities, especially on Misfits. But I don't think I don't see anything special from him. He's got good power, but his IQ, his speed, his punch selection, it's lacking for me. And even with that, I still deem him the favorite over FoxTheG.
Yeah.
And it's just because FoxTheG heavily inexperienced, and FoxTheG recently dropped a little clip of him sparring, like a couple weeks back. And it was looking good in there, you know, this and that. But I still see a lot of flaws in FoxTheG. He overswings. I think he overcommits.
Yeah.
And I think he's already gotten to the point where he's in love with his power. And I think that's gonna be a very big obstacle for him to overcome, especially once he fights someone like Walid Sharks, who I think Walid Shark is gonna take his punch. And if he's not gonna be able to drop him or maybe even hurt him, I think FoxTheG is gonna have to deal with that more psychologically than ever before. So I still deem Walid Sharks the favorite, but even then, it's still a closer fight for me.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing with FoxTheG. I think he's just going to rely too much on his power.
Yeah.
And he's going to sacrifice fundamentals and you know, actually setting punches up. Instead, he's just going to go in there and swing. So, yeah, that's probably that's the direction I'm leaning in. I think Walid is going to take advantage of that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm leaning towards Walid Sharks, but I mean, just like how FoxTheG is relying so much on his power, I feel like Walid Sharks relies too much on his emotion sometimes, and I think it gets the better of him sometimes, and he just commits dumb mistakes. And so, I mean, just as long as he keeps his cool, he should win this fight, honestly, because I mean, FoxTheG, he had less than 20 amateur fights.
Yeah, he had like 3.
Oh, he had
FoxTheG?
3?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised he even had any.
He had like 3 or 4. I think he went 2-1.
So like, I mean, so Walid Shark should be on a higher level than FoxTheG, but I mean, we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah. Also, another issue I have with Walid is, I guess it goes again back to his IQ. Bro does not make adjustments at all. If you look at that first Dean fight, bro kept getting nailed with the right, and he didn't do nothing about it, and then he got dropped and then stopped. And then even in the rematch, I mean, you should know, okay, this motherfucker Dean loves throwing that right hand. No adjustments made in the rematch at all, and he gets dropped like 2 or 3 times, and then gets absolutely whooped the entire fight. He made no adjustments, and even within the ring, whether it's in the ring or out the ring, Walid Sharks doesn't make any adjustments. I don't know if it's him who just gets really emotional within the ring, that he forgets everything that he was taught during the camp, or if his team doesn't really implement any big strategy for him, and they just kind of, you know, free for all or freestyle inside that ring. But it doesn't matter. I think Walid Sharks lacks IQ inside that ring, and more in the aspect of making adjustments, and that's what's bitten him in the ass. And yeah, I agree, he does get very emotional in there, and I think that's another big reason why he lost that first fight against Steen. I think he got really confident and really complacent where the direction of the fight was going, that once that right hand landed, it hit him out of nowhere, and bro just lost that first fight. But yeah, this fight definitely up as one of my probably my fight of the big fight I'm more looking forward to besides the main event. And it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top between Walid Sharks and FoxTheG. So those were some of the fights for Misfits 21, titled Unfinished Business in Manchester, featuring KSI, the Nightmare Olatunji, as he takes on Dillon Danis in a 6-round fight. Now switching gears back to traditional boxing. As we all know, this last week or a week and a half ago, Gervonta Davis got the controversial draw against Lamont Roach in a fight that was a shocking result, in the aspect that Lamont Roach was able to keep pace with Gervonta Davis throughout the fight, and which led to the controversial 9th round uncalled knockdown for Gervonta Davis. Mistake by oh my god, what's his name?
Steve Willis.
We had the commission finally come out and give us their official verdict for that 9th round, and they have deemed it, for the result, for the draw to stand. And you know, I was looking at some of people's reactions, and I was kind of looking at the commission's response to it. But hold up, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so one of the things the commission said was, the commission said Roach's protest was denied because The bout continued for more than 3 full rounds after the referee's no knockdown call. And because the boxers necessarily adjusted to the referee's ruling, the referee's call was not outcome determinative.
Okay, I just don't even understand like what the hell that even means.
So I interpret it as, since the knockdown wasn't given, the outcome of the fight, they fought the way they fought afterwards. But if the knockdown would have been given, then the outcome, those next 3 rounds would have been probably fought differently. Maybe Gervonta would have been a bit more aggressive, more this and that. So the outcome of the decision of the ref could have implemented a different type of approach for the next following rounds from both fighters.
Yeah, but I don't even understand. I don't understand that logic, though. I mean, if the knockdown would have been ruled, it would have completely changed the dynamic of the fight. Why does it matter whether or not there was 3 rounds left? There are 3 more rounds. Like that doesn't matter. It should whether or not it should dictate if it was a knockdown. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, for me, like I'm what's the word? I don't like the way the New York State Athletic Commission dealt with this. I don't like how they dealt with this situation, because I mean later on they also said that that the knee that Gervonta Davis took, it should have been called a knockdown. But then they say that dumbass sentence, like, make it make sense. It's being very confusing.
Yeah,
then New York is one of the strictest states where they actually implement strict rules. Like, if you say it was a knockdown, well then upturn it. Then don't upheld the decision that it's currently at right now.
Yeah, and then saying it wasn't outcome determined. Like, of course it was. What do you mean? 2 of the judges would have ruled for Lamont Roach if that wasn't. How is that not outcome determined? And why does that even matter? I still don't even understand why that even needs to be said. Like, you're looking at whether it should be a knockdown, not whether how it would have impacted the fight. Regardless how it would have impacted the fight, was it a knockdown? Yes or no? And they said yes, but because there was 3 rounds fought after, we're gonna keep the ruling. Like, what? Mm-hmm. I don't understand at all.
Yeah, people were very upset about it. I saw a lot of Gervonta fanboys, very, very ecstatic about the results of this appeal. But yeah, a lot of people online were very disappointed, and they were on the same boat as you, saying like, you guys, how can you say it was a knockdown and then come out and say that there was not going to be any it wasn't going to affect the outcome of the fight? Like it just, people were saying it just showed the bias or the corruption, quote unquote, of boxing, how they seem to favor these big stars and kind of let things slide. Because I mean, a lot of people were also giving Steve Willis a lot of criticism for the way he dealt with the situation, because how can you see that Gervonta Davis takes a knee and you see it too, that's why you started counting, and then you say, oh, like when you do stuff like that, it looks like it looks like a knockdown and then fight. Like, how can you do stuff like that? And people were just claiming it was corruption. A lot of big money was put on Gervonta Davis, this and that. So overall favoritism of the superstar.
Probably, I feel like it should have been overturned, honestly. It also would have made it a lot more exciting as well. You know what I'm saying? The drama would have gone crazy. And, of course, those Tank fanboys were still going crazy. My favorite one was all these like smart guys thinking they're like so intelligent that they put fucking the AI answer to like a knockdown, a screenshot. I'm like, oh, you think that has the rule books of the New York State Athletic Commission? You think that's giving you 100% accurate information? Like, and I like how the amount of arrogance, they're all like, you guys don't know boxing, and they put that screenshot. It's like, buddy, you rely on AI, on generative, on being AI or some shit. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Get out of here. Don't. That's just a lie. It was a knockdown.
Yeah, and then a lot of people were saying, oh, Roach also took a knee later in the championship rounds. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, he got pushed down.
Yeah, like, absolutely. It's completely disingenuous. I mean,
the coping.
Yeah, so, and even, I mean, yeah, so this New York State Athletic Commission, I mean, I figured they weren't going to overturn it because it's very difficult to overturn stuff like that. Like, it's very rare that they ever do, unless it's like something really big happens. But I I don't even know if the rematch now is going to happen either. Because, I mean, it seemed like Gervonta was kind of mad. They kind of went back and forth.
Yeah.
Gervonta and Lamont Roach on Twitter, you know, they were kind of talking shit about each other. It kind of seemed like it was, but I don't know now if it is. Because, I mean, of course, Gervonta is looking at bigger things than Lamont Roach.
Well, on the contract, Gervonta had a rematch clause with Lamont only if he lost. So since he didn't lose, he's not obligated to fulfill the contract. But I mean, a lot of people, this is definitely Gervonta's lowest point of his career. If you thought the Pitbull fight was the lowest, now this is definitely 100% the lowest point of his career. And a lot of people are going at him, and he's been online trying to defend himself about it. And I don't think it's a good look for him. So I'm interested to see what him and his team decide to do next. I mean, like we mentioned before, he mentioned that he's going to prolong his career a bit longer based on the how the fight went. So, yes, Gervonta Davis, I feel, might give Lamont Roach the rematch. I'm not sure if it's going to be immediate, but if it is, then I think that's a lot better. He himself said that he's willing to do it by May, ends of May. So if we're able to get a rematch right away, I think that's the best scenario for both fighters. I mean, Lamont Roach can't go too long without fighting, or else his relevancy will, in fact, start to decline once again. Gervonta Davis definitely has to really shut up all these critics about his performance and to show to the public eye that, you know, what happened in the first fight was a fluke. I was not me, and that this rematch for sure will be the typical Gervonta Davis that you are used to seeing in your television screen. But
well, actually, before we move on, like, I'm just thinking about it now. You know, I've had some time to think, you know, since New York a commission said that. I think at the end of the day, we can put the whole blame on Steve Willis. Because it should have been counted a standing 8 count minimum. And I feel like that's the reason why the New York State Athletic Commission couldn't overturn it, because at the end of the day, Steve Willis stopped counting after the count of 3. So it's not like an actual like standing 8 count, which it should have been. So I feel like if we were to blame someone, it should be Steve Willis.
yeah, I mean, there's an article that came out or a blog from a pretty notable figure on X who was pushing, or not pushing, but he stated that Steve Willis should be fired for this. And he kind of set up the examples of, you know, there's a lot of these great referees who were great in their primes, you know, like what's his
Kenny
name?
Bayless.
Kenny Bayless, Tony Weeks, you know, who were very consistent early on, you know, back in, like, you know, when they were in their primes. But as they got older, they started making a lot of mistakes. I mean, you had the 20 Weeks.
Steve Willis is past his prime.
I just think it's so funny we're talking about referees' primes.
Well, I mean, they do have a prime, bro. I mean, you do know, dude.
Steve Smelger was also a good one, and he was also a referee in New York as well.
I mean, they have primes too, man. I mean, sometimes they can't. I mean, they just. I mean, it's true. You look at Tony Weeks. I mean, how do you go from that legendary Tony Weeks to his performance in the Barroso and Rolly Romero fight?
It's true. I used to love Tony Weeks back in the day, but not no more.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of these referees, they get to an age where they can't really calculate the proper. Why are you laughing, bro?
I don't know. I just think it's so funny.
Well, yeah, we're talking about their primes, bro. Hey, who's top 10 pound for pound referees of all time, bro?
Who's the pound for pound best referee ever?
Referee, bro. No, but yeah. So he was kind of pushing, saying like, you know, it may be time that he should be fired, let go from the commission. He's not the same referee, and he also mentioned some other stuff. I low-key kind of forgot, but yeah. So Steve Willis for sure is under a lot of fire. Even Turkey took some jabs at Steve Willis.
Yeah, Turkey was trolling
crazy,
him. Turkey was trolling him, like posting a ton of photos of him and stuff, and like saying like these like witty like captions, like what the hell?
Yeah. So, but speaking of Turkey, Turkey he's
been busy.
He's a businessman. Man. He's out there doing stuff. He's making things happen behind the scenes, and he's working with certain man from the UFC. The main honcho, Dana White and Turkey, have officially announced their partnership, officially dubbed TKO Group, as Dana White looks to enter the world of boxing. Now, this news shook up the combat sports, and not only boxing but even UFC. People were super stunned about this move from both Turki and Dana White, and I saw a lot of good things about it, a lot of positive things, and I saw a lot of negative things about it. But one thing's for sure, Dana White has officially entered the boxing scene.
Yeah, and he's loved boxing. That's actually the reason why he got into combat sports, because he was a boxing fan growing up, and he's always kind of expressed interest, or like, yeah, but it would be cool to run a boxing organization, but he always brushed it aside, saying they're corrupt as hell. I don't want to get into that mess, because it's a mess. I mean, boxing politics is a completely different world than UFC politics. Completely different. So that's kind of what that's what the narrative was. He was leaving it alone. He didn't want to get involved in that mess. Out of nowhere, I mean, Turki just swoops in. It's like, let's do this. Let's partner up. And so I think that's great. I think it's amazing, honestly. I'm a big fan for it. If Dana White is able to do even a fraction of what he did to the UFC, to bring it to bring the sport of the UFC into how big it is now, if he could even do a fraction of that for boxing, even just in his organization, I think that's amazing. Yeah. And in that organization, at least, we're gonna only have one champion, which is also fun. But for Dana White, I see that, but for Turki, I see even more ambition in his eyes, and the way he's talking too. I think he wants to take over the whole boxing world with that organization, and just have one boxing champion in the whole sport. So we got to see how this plays out. I think their first show is going to show us a lot into how serious they're taking this.
Yeah, it's so interesting how two different men from two different sides of the world, Turki al-Sheikh, trying to monopolize the boxing game, or the boxing, the sport of boxing, and then Dana White is a guy who has been very successful within the UFC, and seems as though he has a couple of his favorite fighters losing. So now he wants to do this boxing league, and so. For me, they're talking big talk, and for me, I won't say anything, because I feel like a lot of people are on either side. A lot of people are saying yes, we like it, and then we have other fighters who don't like it, who are criticizing them. They're like, there's a lot of nuance, a lot of unknown, and that's kind of how I feel at the end of the day. So if they truly want to do something good for the sport, and I think they will. I know they want to do this Grand Prix tournament, which is very exciting. Maybe seeing a little less champions in every weight class. I'm all for that. But until now, I'm just sitting on the sideline, just seeing how it's gonna play out.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of unknown. First off, they're talking about they're gonna follow the UFC model, and with only one champion for each division. But we have 4 different sanctioning bodies in boxing. How are they gonna do that? And I think we're kind of starting to see Turki already try to implement that change in the aspect that, if you looked at the more recent one, Canelo had his press conference with William Scholl for the first time, and when they were up in that stage, getting those pictures taken, before the face-off, Dana White, Turki shooed the WBC belt away from Canelo, saying no, not that one, only the ring. And Turki has been pushing the ring belt for the entire time he's been. He brought back Ring Magazine, and he's been pushing the belt, and he's trying to show that, hey, these sanctioning bodies, they don't matter. It's all about that Ring Magazine belt. And if he's doing that to Canelo, the face of boxing, that's a lot. He's talking big talk, and it's showing, because even Suleiman, the WBC president, came out and criticized it, saying, "Yo, how can he be doing this? It's the Ring Magazine. It's a magazine. It's not the WBC, an actual organization." And we also had a lot of WBC champions come out and support, saying, "Oh, I'm a proud WBC champion." So Turki is pushing back all these other sanctioning bodies and trying to bring up to the spotlight and give more credibility towards the Ring Magazine. He's done it to Canelo. He's done it to Inoue. He's doing it to every single champion that he sees, that and trying to uphold the Ring Magazine belt as the most prestigious. And I feel like that's going to be implemented perhaps for this new boxing league with Dana White, to showcase that, okay, the real champion only has the Ring Magazine belt.
I say good. Me personally, I say good. I want fuck Mauricio Suleiman. What the hell? He's a leech in the sport of boxing. I mean, that guy is not good for boxing. So make way with all of these or sanctioning bodies. I don't care about their long history. Oh, this champion, Mayweather held this belt for this many years. I don't care. You take it out. We need completely new boxing politics, completely new. I think Turki is the guy to do it. I mean, he has the ambition, he has the love of it, and he most importantly, he has the money for it. So, and I mean, with Dana White as well, them teaming up, I think it's a dangerous duo, powerful. So, I have very high hopes for this partnership.
Yeah, for me, it's big talks. I mean, look, there's a lot of. It's not just fighters criticizing this whole thing. It's I've seen Paulie Malignaggi criticizing Dana White, saying that he's a scum, saying that he's a bad businessman, that he doesn't pay his fighters. But then we have Mauricio Suleiman, the WBC president of that sanctioning body, saying that, oh no, who does Turki think who the fuck does he think Turki is? Like who? I'm sorry. Bro. Who the fuck does Turki think he is?
Yeah.
He's just a guy who just came into the sport less than 2 years ago, and he's already trying to make these big changes. No, that's not possible. But then you also have Doug. I think his name is Doug Fisher. He's a guy within the Ringside company who has kind of said that he's not really. He doesn't see Turki kind of being able to monopolize or being able to take over boxing just because of all the boxing politics that goes with it. So for me, I mean, that's why I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines with this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to there's a lot of unknowns, and we don't really know what entails for this new boxing promotion or this boxing league and what effects it will have on boxing. A lot of people are speculating that the first ever event for this new one will be the Canelo and Crawford.
Yeah,
that's rumored, or the other rumor is that the first events are going to come out not until 2026.
No, but it was kind of funny because that Canelo, because they were getting interviewed, Turki and Dana White, and they asked Dana when's the first show. And I think they asked both of them. Turki was like, Dana, answer. And he was like, well, we got stuff in the works, this and that. And Turki, like a gangster, was just like, maybe in September. Come on, already hinting at it, bro. So I think that was pretty funny. He wants to hit this running.
Yeah, get it running, get it rolling, and get the new league out there in order to probably just change the sport of boxing and maybe even combat sports in general. So yes, Dana White, Turki, making big waves in boxing, getting a lot of talk among the combat sports community, and we just have to sit down and be patient and see what both of these promoters are cooking at the moment. But that was a little bit about the new TKA group, the new boxing league promotion featuring Dana White and the henchman, or not the henchman, the main honcho Turki. I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about in today's episode. Let us know down below what were you guys' thoughts about TKA group. Are you guys excited about this new boxing league brought to you by Dana White and Turki? Also, let us know about Misfits 21. Are you excited about the return of KSI? Do you think Dillon Danis will showcase a better performance than he did against Logan Paul? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. We are on X, TikTok, and Instagram. Lastly, don't forget to join our Discord. We're trying to build up a community, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. But this was Pablo, and I'm with Rudo and Asa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.